All right, this is part two of building your first GUI program. Hopefully you've done part one, especially that you've got Windows Builder installed. Some of you might not have needed to do that, but make sure you got it installed because this part really won't be possible without Windows Builder. Okay, so hopefully you got it installed, and then you can do wherever you want to put it. You can do a new Java project and a package. That's what I've got here already. And then I'm going to do File, New. Instead of doing a class this time, I'm going to go to Other, and I'm going to find Window Builder. Okay, and if you don't see Window Builder, that's because you don't have it installed. Right, so you're going to click inside of there, and then we're going to do Swing, and then something called a J-frame. So a J-frame is just a basic little window thing here. This is actually probably a J-frame that I'm dragging around right there. That's probably a J-frame. Anyways, so I'm going to hit Next, and then I'm going to give it a name. So I'm going to do the Pythagorean theorem, but you can really name it whatever you want. All right, so I'm going to hit Finish, and it'll automatically generate some code, which is pretty sweet actually. So if I look at this code, it's actually creating the frame right here, setting it to visible, right? So I can actually run it and it'll print a frame, right? So I can actually go boom, and actually there's my frame right there. Okay, and so it doesn't have any stuff added to it other than I think it has a panel. I think, yeah, here's a new panel that's being added to it. So you can see the code right there. And then kind of the cool part is you can edit the source code here. You can actually probably change the size of the panel and stuff right here. But you can also do it in a designer. So besides modifying the code, I'm going to click this design thing right here. And the first time you click on it, it might take a second to load, but I'm going to click on it and it'll open up this design page, which is kind of a cool feature for it makes the code for you. Like it does all the coding behind the scenes. You've got to do some of it yourself, but at least the parts of it will be done for you, which makes it a little bit easier. And you can see actually here's what it might be. It might take a second. So apparently for me it's taking a second, but eventually it looks like it's going to get there. Okay, so what you can actually see is my J-frame here. And so what's nice about this is you can just drag it, like boom, I make it bigger, right, or smaller or whatever. Okay, and so we're just gonna add some basic components here. So you can see we've already got a panel. So here's the frame, and then if I click this, there's a panel inside of there. And you can add more if you want. I think I'm just gonna do one. But one hugely important step is there's different layouts. So I want to click on my panel here or over here, and then it should be called content pane, and then pick this layout and choose absolute. There's a whole bunch of them, but absolute is going to be by far the easiest to work with. So make sure you select absolute layout. And now I'm just going to start adding my stuff. Okay, so for my Pythagorean theorem, I need some labels for the legs. So I'm going to click this label, and I'm going to put it here. Maybe I'll click and make another one, I think. How the heck do I do this? There we go. And it kind of lines them up and everything, which is nifty. Okay, and so you can see I've made 3 of them over here. And then now I'm just gonna click on them and change their properties. So if I click here, you can see the name of the variable, and then you can see the text is new label. So I'm gonna make this one called label label leg 1, and I would name them like something meaningful, because when you reference them in the code, these are the names you're going to be. These are like the object names. Okay, and then I'm going to go down here and type leg, right? And then I'm going to go here, call this one leg 2. So I'm going to keep the LBL there, standing for label. And I'm going to do leg. Okay, and then the last one I'm going to click here is label hypotenuse. I'm lazy, so I'm just going to do HYP and call this hypotenuse. And that's the text that shows up, so I'm going to click that. Whoops, that's not what I wanted to do. Okay, and so you can see like that didn't show up, so I'm going to drag it over. And you can change a lot of properties, like you can change the font. Like I can make this font a little bigger maybe, since it looks so tiny. And sometimes you can select like multiple ones, I think. And then I'm going to click on their font here and make them bigger font. you can change it or whatever, but so there, boom, it makes it bigger. And then I got to drag these a little bigger. Whoops, didn't like that. So I'm just going to undo. But then you can like drag them around and make them fit. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that because that's, you can kind of figure that out yourself. One thing I do want to point out with this is there's kind of some sweet features where like if you click on these, you can make them align. So I can make them align on the right or centered or on the left. So I'm actually probably going to do right edges here and then move these over a little bit actually. No, now I messed it all up. So I'm gonna click, 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 control click to select them. Okay, and then you can also do space them evenly. So that's kind of neat, even though that took up a lot of the screen, but that's kind of a nice thing. You can get the spacing equal. So there's a lot of cool features there. Um, okay, so I've got those on there. And next up, I'm gonna add where they can enter data. So these are the text fields. So I'm gonna put one here. And I'm going to make sure this one's called text leg 1 because again I'm going to need to reference these in my code, and then I'm just going to click on another one, yada yada yada, line it up. I'm not going to worry about making it look pretty, to be honest. You can mess around with all that if you want, but I don't know why that didn't work. Okay, so this one I'm going to call text leg 2. This part gets a little repetitive. I'm going to click here. And there's a lot of different things you can see. There's like check boxes and radio buttons, and you can play with all that stuff if you want, but we're just doing the basics in this video. So I'm gonna call this one text hypotenuse. Okay. And again, you can run it and kind of see, see how it's going here. Right now, you can type in, the font's kind of tiny, but we're not gonna worry about that. So you can see it's working. All right, so and there's a lot of things you can change, like this hypotenuse. I don't actually want them to be editable, right? Because that I'm going to populate based on the leg. So you can actually take off the editable, I think. And then if I run it now, hopefully, right, I can type in these ones, but I can't type in the hypotenuse. So I'm just going to change that one with my code. So you can play around with it. There's a lot of features, but you just click on them, and then whatever one you highlighted either here or over here, then you'll be able to do the properties there. And please know you can like double click to make things bigger if needed. Yeah, so if it looks like that, make sure you double click so you have a lot of real estate because there's a lot going on here. You can also make this a little bigger and this a little bigger if you need. Okay, so let's see, what do we want to do next? So we've got our stuff added. Again, you can change the properties over here if you want by clicking in here or over there. But let's do a button next, right? So I'm going to have a button that's actually going to calculate the hypotenuse. So I'm going to click on this J button and just put it wherever. And I'm going to give it a new name. So I'm going to do button calculate, I guess, is what I'm going to call this one. And then I'm going to make the text be, instead of being new button here, I'm going to make that text be find hypotenuse or calc hypotenuse. Okay. And then make it a little bigger so it all fits. Okay. And then kind of the next cool part is now we have to actually do some of the code. And so I'm going to double click on this button and it'll take me right to the code where I click. So it's going to switch me back to source view, and then I'm going to write some code. So I'm going to double click on it, and then here's the code that's going to happen when the button is clicked. So it's kind of a lot of code here, and I'm going to put the curly braces on the next line. But you want to go all the way inside here, and this is the code that's going to be run. Okay, and so what we need to do is I'm going to go back to design view here quick, is we need to get this information, these leg numbers, and then do the actual calculations. So we'll have some double variables and then populate it back to the hypotenuse. And so I'm going to double click to go back to my code here. And so to get the value from there, it's going to be a string. So I'm going to do string leg1, and I'm going to go back to the name. So here again, I named it text leg1. You can actually see some code that was done there behind the scenes. Okay, so I'm going to call text leg1 and then do dot because it's an object. And you can see I can get the name, all these different things. But what I really want to get is get the text that's in there. Okay, and then I need to convert that into a double. So this is a little tricky, but I'm going to do double. I can't call it leg1 anymore, but let's just call it A. And then I'm going to do double dot parse double, and then I'm going to pass in leg1. So what parse double does is takes a string and converts it into a double. Okay, so now I've got the first one. And then I'm going to do string leg2 equals text leg2 dot get text. And then I'm going to do double b equals double dot parse double leg2. Okay, so now I'll have them two double variables. And if we want to just make sure this is working out okay, I can just sys out print a once just to see that it works. So I'm going to try running it once, and I'm going to put something in here, and I'm going to hit my button, and oh man, things went boom. Oh, because I didn't have anything in spot B. I didn't have anything here to parse. So let's see, let's do 2 and 2. And so you can see it spits it out, it prints it out. So it's working okay right now at least. All right, so now I actually do the math to calculate the hypotenuse. So, that's just the basic math we've done before. So I'm going to do double step 1, I guess, equals math.pow. And I want to take a and square it and add that to b squared. I'm going to do another math.pow of b squared. Okay, and then I'm going to do the square root of that. So I'm going to do double step 2 equals math.square root of step 1. Okay, and now I just have to put that back or send it to my text that is the hypotenuse. Okay, so you can probably even guess. Just type text hypotenuse dot and try to guess at what we'd have to do. And I think, we had a get text here, so it makes sense that the one here is probably just set text. So I'm just going to set text to be step 2. And I think it's complaining because it wants a string. So a good trick here is if you just do double quote plus that, that'll force this double to turn into a string. Right? We could actually try to cast it maybe too. I don't know. We could try that. I have no idea if that'll actually work. Be interesting. If I do string here, I wonder if it'll cast that into a string. It doesn't seem to like that. So maybe just do double quote, and then that'll turn it into a string. Okay. So that's probably the hardest part is actually you have to take the text, turn it into a double, and then turn that double back into a string. Because these text fields, right, these text fields are strings, not doubles. So anyways, I'm going to save it and run it here. Okay, and I'm going to do 3, calculate hypotenuse. That seems okay. And I'm going to do 3 and 4, calculate hypotenuse. I get 5. So that's looking pretty good, right? So I kind of got it basic working. And again, you can do whatever you want, right? Like do some labels, do some text fields, and do a button, and then just see if you can actually get the text from the text fields and then populate one with a set text. And it's kind of nice because this one's not editable, so they can't edit that one, right? It's kind of cool. You can change the value. Pretty nifty. Okay, I'm going to make one more video going over just a few other things, talk about how I got on, this is my old one from previous years. I'm going to talk about maybe how to change some colors, and then also how to make a button that pops up a dialog. These are kind of handy to know how to do, so I'll cover that in the next video.